It began with one question, quiet, nervous, and desperate. "Can you pretend just for tonight?" She didn't ask because she wanted to lie. She asked because she was tired of feeling small, tired of being invisible in rooms that judged her worth by who stood beside her. He was a stranger, calm, composed, and unreadable, but when he looked at her, something shifted. Without hesitation, he said, "All right, I'll play along." And just like that, two lives collided. What she didn't know was that this man she'd chosen wasn't just anyone. He was the CEO, the quiet power behind the company she'd dreamed of reaching. But that night wasn't about titles, it was about truth. In pretending, they both found something real: courage. Because courage isn't loud. It's not the spotlight or the applause. It's the trembling voice that still dares to ask. By the end of the night, she discovered that strength isn't about standing alone. It's about allowing someone to stand with you. And he discovered that leadership isn't about control, it's about connection. So remember this: sometimes the people we least expect become the mirrors that show us who we really are. Pretending was never the point. Becoming real was. He was a stranger, or so she thought. When she asked him to pretend, she saw only a man willing to help. But beneath the calm smile and the quiet confidence, there was a truth he couldn't reveal. He was the CEO. As the night unfolded, he watched her navigate conversations with honesty, resilience, and grace. She wasn't playing a role. She was living her truth, and he realized something profound. Success had made him powerful, but somewhere along the way, he'd forgotten what authenticity looked like. That night, she reminded him, because sometimes the lesson doesn't come from those above you, it comes from those brave enough to be seen. When the truth came out, she was shocked, embarrassed, but he stopped her and said softly, "You reminded me what leadership means." And that was the real secret. Power isn't about being feared. It's about being human. They called it a lie, a simple act of pretense. But what if lies sometimes lead us closer to the truth? That night, her world was small, defined by fear, judgment, and self-doubt. His world was big, full of control, wealth, and distance. When their paths crossed, everything in both worlds shifted. They weren't supposed to meet. But life doesn't care about plans. It cares about purpose. In pretending, they found truth. In a single night, they discovered something rare: honesty wrapped in disguise. Because in a world obsessed with perfection, the most powerful thing you can be is real. Voice confident, warm, reflective. Every person you meet is a mirror. Some reflect your fear, others reflect your power. That night, she met both in the same man. She asked him to pretend. He agreed, but what unfolded was not a performance, it was revelation. She saw in him the calm she longed for. He saw in her the courage he'd forgotten. It wasn't about love. It was about identity. He was a CEO who'd built walls. She was a woman who dared to break through them, and together they reminded us all, greatness doesn't come from status. It comes from connection. We all pretend, don't we? We pretend to be strong when we're scared. We pretend we're fine when we're breaking inside. But what if pretending isn't a lie? What if it's the bridge to becoming who we're meant to be? That night, she asked a stranger to help her survive her fear. He said yes, and that yes became a turning point. He, the CEO with secrets, she, the woman with dreams. Two worlds collided, and what began as fiction became transformation. Because in the end, life is not about the masks we wear. It's about the courage to take them off. Her question wasn't about pretending. It was about believing that for one night she was enough. And that, right there, was the secret he'd been hiding all along. Soft pause. Sometimes the people who seem to save you are the ones you end up saving too.